Letters from a Stoic. Eternal advice for the quiet hours. Lesson 1. The quiet voice of Seneca. In the stillness of night, across 2,000 years, a gentle voice reaches you. It is the voice of Lucius Ananias Seneca, speaking not from marble halls or crowded forums, but from the intimate chambers of friendship, where wisdom passes between souls like lamplight shared in darkness. Night, as you settle into the soft embrace of rest, you become the recipient of letters never meant for you, yet written for you all the same. Seneca wrote by flickering flame to his dear friend Lucilius, pouring onto papyrus the distilled essence of a life spent wrestling with the great questions that visit us all in our quiet moments. How shall we live? How shall we face uncertainty? How shall we find peace when the world feels heavy upon our shoulders? These letters, born in the solitude of evening reflection, carry the warmth of a caring mentor who has walked the difficult paths and returned to guide you home. Imagine him there, stylus in hand, pausing between sentences to gaze out at the Roman night. He thinks not only of his friend across the miles, but of all who would one day seek the comfort of philosophy when sleep eludes them and worry clouds their thoughts. In this sacred space between waking and dreams, his words become your companions, as gentle and persistent as a stream that smooths rough stones with patient flow. The beauty of these nocturnal teachings lies not in their complexity, but in their profound simplicity. Seneca understood that the mind preparing for sleep needs not elaborate arguments, but tender truths that settle into consciousness like evening mist upon still water. He knew that wisdom absorbed in quietude takes root more deeply than knowledge grasped in the harsh light of day's anxieties. As you surrender to his guiding presence, you join an ancient tradition of seekers who have found solace in Stoic philosophy's embrace. This is not the cold philosophy of academic debate, but the warm philosophy of lived experience, written by one who knew both triumph and exile, wealth and loss, friendship and solitude. Seneca speaks to you as one human being to another, across the vast expanse of time, offering not empty platitudes, but the hard-won insights of a soul that learned to bend without breaking. Feel yourself becoming receptive to this timeless transmission. Your conscious mind, weary from the day's demands, begins to step aside, allowing these deeper currents of wisdom to flow unobstructed into the fertile darkness of your resting awareness. Like seeds planted in rich soil, Seneca's counsel will work its quiet alchemy while you sleep, transforming anxiety into acceptance, restlessness into calm resolve. The voice that reaches you tonight is neither commanding nor urgent, but patient as the turning seasons, steady as the North Star that guided ancient travelers through uncertain nights. It asks nothing of you but openness, demands nothing but your willingness to receive what has been offered freely across the centuries. In this exchange, you discover that wisdom is not a treasure to be hoarded, but a flame to be shared, lighting one candle from another without diminishing the original fire. Trust in this ancient friendship that forms between you and Seneca in the liminal space of life approaching sleep. Let his words become the last conscious thoughts that escort you toward dreams, and know that his presence will remain with you through the night's journey. Tomorrow, you will awaken not merely rested in body, but renewed in spirit, carrying within you the quiet strength that comes from having spent the dark hours in noble company. This is your invitation to step across the threshold of time and enter the garden of eternal wisdom, where Seneca tends thoughts that bloom regardless of season, offering their fragrance to all who approach with humble hearts and minds prepared to learn. Lesson 2. On the shortness of life. Life is not short, my dear friend, if you know how to use it. In the gentle darkness that surrounds you now, let these ancient words settle into your consciousness like warm honey dissolving in still water. Seneca's voice reaches across the centuries, carrying with it a truth that your restless mind has perhaps forgotten in the hurried daylight hours. Life is not the brief, frantic race you have believed it to be. As you sink deeper into this moment of rest, feel the weight of urgency beginning to lift from your shoulders. That persistent voice that whispers of deadlines and destinations, of clocks ticking and opportunities slipping away, grows fainter now, replaced by something infinitely more wise. Life appears short only to those who squander it, who scatter their precious hours like coins thrown carelessly into a well, never to be retrieved. But you are learning a different way, guided by the gentle wisdom of one who understood that time is not measured by the beating of the heart alone, but by the depth of presence we bring to each sacred moment. Seneca knew, as you are beginning to know, that a single hour lived with full awareness contains more life than years spent in distraction and haste. Breathe slowly now, and with each breath, feel yourself expanding into the spaciousness that exists within this very moment. Here, in this eternal now, there is no shortage of time. There is only the infinite depth of being, the profound richness of simply existing in harmony with what is. The person who rushes through life, grasping at future moments while abandoning the present one, lives 1,000 years and experiences none of them. Consider how different your days become when you release the illusion of time's scarcity. Each conversation deepens into something sacred when you are not already departing for the next appointment. Each sunset becomes a masterpiece when you are not calculating the hours remaining until sunrise. Each breath becomes a gift when you remember that this moment has never existed before and will never come again. Seneca wrote his letters by lamplight, understanding that wisdom shared is wisdom multiplied. He knew that the hours spent in contemplation, in friendship, in the cultivation of virtue, were not time taken away from life, but time given to its deepest purpose. As sleep begins to claim you, let this understanding seep into the quiet corners of your being. You have never lacked time, only the awareness of how to inhabit it fully. The anxiety that comes with feeling rushed begins to dissolve as you recognize it for what it truly is. Not a response to time's genuine shortage, but a symptom of attention's misplacement. When you gather your scattered awareness back to this moment, this breath, this heartbeat, you discover the secret that the ancient philosophers knew. Eternity is not somewhere else, waiting beyond the boundary of death, but here, woven into the fabric of every conscious instant. Tomorrow, when you wake, you will carry this understanding with you like a gentle flame. The same 24 hours that once seemed insufficient will reveal themselves as abundant, beyond measure. You will move through your day not as one who races against time, but as one who dances with it, finding rhythm in the natural pace of a life lived with intention and grace. Let Seneca's wisdom settle into your dreams tonight, transforming your relationship with time from one of anxiety to one of reverence. You have all the time you need for what truly matters. You have this moment, complete and perfect in itself, containing everything necessary for a life well lived. Rest now in this abundance, knowing that true wealth lies not in the multiplication of days, but in the depth with which each day is received and honored. In sleep, time becomes your ally once again, offering you renewal, insight, and the quiet space where wisdom takes root and flourishes. Lesson 3. Time, the only true wealth. Time slips away like sand through open fingers. Yet, in awareness, every grain becomes precious. Night, as you settle into the embrace of darkness, let Seneca's voice carry you into the deepest understanding of your most valuable possession. Not gold, not silver, not the finest silks or the grandest estates, but time itself, the raw material from which all meaning is carved, the canvas upon which your soul paints its masterpiece. Listen closely, dear friend, as the ancient teacher whispers across the centuries. You are not poor if you have time, and you are not rich if you waste it. Every heartbeat that carries you through this moment is a coin of infinite worth. Yet most spend these precious pieces as carelessly as a fool scatters grain to the wind. But you, in this quiet hour, are learning the art of temporal treasure. Feel your breathing slow as you absorb this truth. Each inhale draws in possibility. Each exhale releases what no longer serves. Time is not rushing past you like a river in flood. It is flowing through you like the gentlest stream, and you have the power to cup its waters in your palms, to drink deeply of its essence. The anxiety of minutes ticking away dissolves when you realize that presence itself stops the clock of worry. Seneca knew, as he wrote by lamplight in his villa, that time's true nature is not linear, but circular, not but infinite within each conscious moment. The person who truly understands time never hurries, never rushes, never lives in the breathless panic of not enough hours. Instead, they move through their days like a skilled artisan, carefully selecting which moments deserve their full attention, which experiences merit their complete presence. Consider how the wealthy hoard their coins, counting and recounting their gleaming piles, yet they often spend their hours as thoughtlessly as beggars spend their last copper pieces. They accumulate possessions, while their most precious resource, the very substance of their existence, flows away unnoticed. But the wise person, the one who has learned Seneca's gentle lessons, treats each moment as a sacred offering, each hour as a temple in which to worship life itself. As sleep begins to claim you, imagine yourself as the keeper of a vast treasury. Behind great doors lie not chests of jewels, but chambers filled with golden moments, crystalline hours of awareness, precious stones of deep experience. You are wealthy beyond measure, richer than any emperor who ever lived, because you possess the secret of temporal abundance. Every second that passes through your consciousness is transformed from mere duration into meaningful existence. The compound interest of mindful living begins to accumulate as you practice this art of temporal awareness. Just as gold pieces multiply when wisely invested, moments of presence generate ever-expanding circles of peace. A single mindful breath creates ripples of tranquility that extend far beyond the present instant. A conversation fully attended to becomes a deposit in the bank of human connection. An hour spent in contemplation yields dividends of wisdom for years to come. Let yourself sink deeper into rest as you embrace this revolutionary understanding. You are not racing against time. You are dancing with it. You are not running out of moments. You are diving into their infinite depths. The scarcity that once haunted your days transforms into abundance as you learn to taste the full flavor of now, to extract every drop of sweetness from the present vintage. Feel the weight of temporal anxiety lifting from your shoulders, like morning mist rising from still waters. You have enough time for what truly matters. You have always had enough. The feeling of shortage was merely an illusion, created by trying to fill your hours with too many trivial pursuits, like attempting to carry water in a basket woven of desires and distractions. Night, as Seneca's wisdom settles into the quiet corners of your mind, you become wealthy in the only currency that truly matters. Your riches cannot be stolen by thieves or diminished by economic collapse. Your treasure increases with every conscious breath, multiplies with every moment of genuine presence. Sleep now, wealthy beyond measure, knowing that tomorrow you will wake as heir to the infinite inheritance of time itself. Lesson 4. Freedom through simplicity. The person who has little wants even less. The person who wants less is truly free. These words drift through the quiet chambers of night like incense, carrying with them the profound liberation that awaits those who dare to release their grip on the endless accumulation of things, experiences, and desires that so often masquerade as happiness. In the gentle darkness that surrounds you now, imagine yourself standing at the threshold of a great mansion filled with countless rooms, each one overflowing with possessions, obligations, and the weight of maintaining what you think you must have. The very act of walking through this mansion exhausts you, for every object demands attention, every commitment requires energy, and every acquisition whispers the promise of yet another need. This is the prison of complexity, where the bars are made not of iron, but of our own endless wanting. Now, with Seneca's wise voice guiding you, step away from this overwhelming abundance and walk instead toward a simple dwelling where the rooms are few but filled with light. Here, in this space of deliberate restraint, you discover something miraculous. When you need less, you fear less. And when you fear less, you are free to love more deeply, think more clearly, and rest more peacefully. The anxious energy that once scattered itself across 1,000 concerns now gathers into a single steady flame of contentment. The ancient philosopher understood what our restless hearts often forget, that the multiplication of desires is not the path to satisfaction, but the highway to perpetual unrest. Each new want creates a new vulnerability, a fresh source of anxiety, another chain that binds us to the wheel of endless seeking. But simplicity breaks this cycle with the gentle force of wisdom, showing us that enough is not a limitation, but a doorway to a richer way of being. As you sink deeper into the embrace of sleep, feel the unnecessary burdens of your day beginning to dissolve. That gnawing sense that you need more, should have more, deserve more, gradually transforms into a profound appreciation for what already surrounds you. The breath moving through your body, the warmth of your resting place, the quiet miracle of consciousness itself, settling into peaceful dreams. These simple gifts, so easily overlooked in the harsh light of ambition, reveal themselves in the darkness as treasures beyond any earthly rain. Wealth. Seneca knew that true poverty is not the absence of possessions, but the presence of insatiable desire. The wealthy man who lies awake worrying about his investments is poorer than the simple person who sleeps soundly with little but peace in his heart. Riches that depend on external circumstances are always at the mercy of fortune's changing winds. But the wealth of a contented spirit remains untouchable, growing stronger with each moment of grateful recognition. In choosing simplicity, you choose not deprivation but discernment. You learn to distinguish between what you want and what you need, between what brings lasting satisfaction and what offers only the fleeting pleasure of acquisition. This discrimination becomes a kind of spiritual muscle, growing stronger with practice, until the very thought of unnecessary complexity feels heavy and unappealing, while the lightness of simple living becomes your natural state. The freedom that flows from this simplicity is not merely the absence of clutter, but the presence of clarity. When your life is not weighted down with endless possessions and commitments, your mind becomes spacious enough to house the thoughts that truly matter. Your heart opens wide enough to embrace the relationships that nourish your soul. Your spirit finds room to breathe, to grow, to discover the quiet joy that has been waiting beneath the noise of constant acquisition. Night, as sleep carries you into its depths, let go of the burden of needing more than this moment offers. Release the exhausting project of accumulating your way to happiness. Rest in the profound truth that you are already enough. You have enough. You are surrounded by enough. In this surrender to simplicity, you find not loss, but the greatest gain of all. The unshakable freedom of a soul at peace with what is. Lesson 5. Facing death with calm. Death is not the opposite of life, but its gentle completion. In the quiet sanctuary of this moment, as shadows lengthen and the world settles into its evening rhythm, let us speak of that great mystery which touches every heart, yet remains unspoken in the bright hours of day. Death, that final threshold, need not be the source of trembling fear, but rather the teacher of life's deepest truths. Seneca knew this wisdom well. Having lived through plague and political upheaval, having witnessed the rise and fall of emperors, the bloom and fade of countless springs. In his letters, he writes not as one who fears the end, but as one who has made peace with life's natural boundaries. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end, he reminds us, and in this eternal cycle, we find not cause for dread, but reason for profound acceptance. Consider how each night you surrender to sleep, how willingly you release your hold on the day's concerns and allow consciousness to dissolve into dreams. This nightly practice is death's gentle rehearsal, teaching your soul the art of letting go. Just as you trust that morning will return after the deepest sleep, so too can you trust in the natural order that governs all things. Death becomes not a violent severing, but a tender release, like the last note of a beautiful song fading into silence. The wise person lives each day as if it might be the last, not from morbid preoccupation, but from a deep appreciation of life's precious fragility. When you truly understand that your time here is limited, every sunrise becomes a gift. Every conversation with a loved one becomes sacred. Every breath becomes a small miracle worthy of gratitude. This awareness of mortality does not diminish life's joy, but amplifies it beyond measure. Fear of death often stems from fear of the unknown. Yet, what is unknown need not be terrible. Before you were born, you experienced no suffering in that vast expanse of non-being. Why should the return to that state after life hold any terror? The universe that brought you into existence with such intricate care surely knows how to receive you back with equal tenderness. Seneca teaches that the person who has lived virtuously, who has loved well, and acted with integrity, approaches death as a friend approaches a familiar door. There is no unfinished business of the soul, no desperate clinging to what must naturally pass away. Instead, there is a quiet satisfaction, like that of a worker who has completed the day's labor and looks forward to well-earned rest. Each evening, as you prepare for sleep, you practice this same surrender. You release the day's achievements and disappointments alike, trusting that rest will restore what needs restoration and release what needs releasing. In this daily dying and rebirth, you train your spirit in the great art of graceful transition. The contemplation of death serves not to darken life, but to illuminate it. Like a skilled gardener who prunes away dead branches to encourage new growth, the awareness of mortality helps you distinguish between what truly matters and what merely seems important. Petty grievances fade, superficial concerns lose their grip, and what remains is the essential beauty of existence itself. Night, as you drift towards sleep, carry with you this gentle truth. You are part of something far greater than your individual fears and concerns. The same force that moves the stars through their courses, that brings spring after winter and dawn after darkness, that force holds you in its care. Death is simply another face of this great mystery, no more to be feared than sleep itself. Let your breath grow slower and deeper. Let your body sink into perfect rest, knowing that whether you wake to tomorrow's light or pass into the greater mystery, you are held always in the arms of an intelligence, both vast and tender. This is the calm that Seneca offers, not the absence of feeling, but the presence of trust in life's perfect unfolding. Lesson 6. The value of friendship. A friend is a second self, a mirror in which virtue reflects back to you in gentle recognition. In the quiet chambers of night, where solitude might otherwise feel complete, let us speak of friendship, that sacred bond that transforms the human journey from isolation into communion. Seneca knew, as he wrote by flickering flame to his dear Lucilius, that friendship represents one of life's most precious treasures, more valuable than gold, more enduring than marble monuments, more necessary than breath itself. True friendship, my dear companion in these peaceful hours, is not mere companionship or the casual association of convenience. It is the meeting of souls who recognize in each other the spark of virtue, the commitment to wisdom, the courage to grow. When you rest your head tonight, let your heart expand to embrace this truth. You are never truly alone when you carry within yourself the capacity for genuine connection. The friend worthy of your trust is one who sees not only who you are in this moment, but who you are becoming. They witness your struggles without judgment, celebrate your victories without envy, and offer their presence as a sanctuary when the world grows cold. Such friendship requires no constant proximity, no daily conversation, no elaborate gestures. It exists in the realm of understanding, where distance cannot diminish and time cannot erode the bonds of mutual respect and affection. But before you can offer true friendship to another, you must first learn to be a friend to yourself. This is the foundation upon which all meaningful relationships are built. In the gentle darkness that surrounds you now, practice extending toward yourself the same kindness you would offer a beloved companion. Trust in your growth as deeply as you would trust in theirs. The wise person understands that friendship is not about finding someone who completes you, but about discovering someone with whom you can share the journey of becoming complete within yourself. It is the joy of parallel paths, where two individuals walking their separate roads of wisdom find comfort in knowing they are not walking alone. When challenges arise, as they surely will, true friends do not solve each other's problems, but stand witness to each other's strength. In your waking hours, you may notice how rare such friendship has become. In a world that often mistakes familiarity for intimacy, agreement for understanding, or proximity for connection. Yet this recognition should not discourage you, but rather inspire you to be the kind of friend you wish to find. Loyalty, honesty, patience, and genuine care. These qualities you can cultivate and offer, regardless of whether they are immediately returned. Remember that the friend who truly serves your highest good is not necessarily the one who always agrees with you, but the one who loves you enough to speak truth when truth is needed. They are the mirror that shows you both your beauty and your blind spots, helping you see yourself with clarity and compassion. In receiving such honesty, you learn to value substance over flattery, growth over comfort, and authentic connection over superficial pleasantness. As sleep begins to claim you, let your mind drift toward those souls who have touched your life with genuine care. Feel gratitude for their presence, whether they remain close or have traveled beyond your immediate reach. The love shared in true friendship creates invisible threads that connect hearts across any distance, binding you to others in a web of mutual regard that strengthens with acknowledgement. Know, too, that friendship extends beyond the boundaries of the living. The wisdom of those who have gone before, like Seneca himself, continues to offer companionship to seeking souls. I know what must be. Those of the Union people have love. In reading his words, in absorbing his counsel, you join a great fellowship of minds, stretching across centuries, all united in the pursuit of wisdom and the desire for inner peace. Night, as you surrender to rest, you carry within your heart the capacity for the deepest friendship of all, the relationship with your own soul, patient and kind, faithful and true. From this foundation, all other connections flow naturally, like streams finding their way to the waiting sea. Lesson 7. On anger and tranquility. Anger is temporary madness. Tranquility is permanent sanity. In the depths of night, when the world has grown still and your breathing settles into its natural rhythm, feel how anger dissolves like mist before the dawn. Seneca's voice reaches across the centuries with this gentle truth. Anger is not your master, but a visitor you may politely decline to entertain. As you rest here in the quiet darkness, let this wisdom seep into the very marrow of your being. The great philosopher knew anger intimately, not as a stranger observing from afar, but as one who had felt its burning grip upon his chest. He understood how fury could rise like a sudden storm, clouding judgment and poisoning the well of inner peace. Yet, he discovered something profound in his years of patient observation. Anger is always a choice, never a compulsion. Between the spark of provocation and the flame of reaction lies a sacred space, a moment of care, infinite possibility where wisdom may enter and transform everything. Picture anger as it truly is, a thief that steals your tranquility and offers nothing of value in return. It promises justice, but delivers only suffering. It whispers of strength, but leaves you weakened. It speaks of righteousness, but blinds you to truth. When someone wounds you with their words or actions, anger suggests that your pain will be lessened by inflicting pain upon them. But this is the cruelest deception, for it only multiplies suffering in the world, while leaving your own heart more scarred than before. Seneca teaches that the truly strong person is not the one who strikes back with greater force, but the one who absorbs the blow and remains unmoved, like a mountain that stands serene while storms rage around its peak. This is not weakness disguised as virtue, but the highest form of power, the ability to choose your response rather than be driven by impulse. In your deepest self, you possess this mountain-like stability, this unshakable core that no external circumstance can disturb. As sleep begins to cradle you, imagine yourself cultivating this divine tranquility. When faced with the inevitable provocations of daily life, you need not become a mirror that reflects back the anger thrown at you. Instead, become like still water that accepts the stone's impact with barely a ripple, then returns to perfect calm. The person who wrongs you is already suffering. Why add your suffering to theirs? The situation that frustrates you is temporary. Why sacrifice your eternal peace for a momentary disturbance? Consider how anger burns the one who holds it, far more than the one toward whom it is directed. It is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at another. You are the first to be burned. But tranquility is a cool spring that refreshes everyone who drinks from it. When you respond to harshness with gentleness, to cruelty with compassion, to chaos with calm, you become a healing presence in the world. The practice of tranquility begins with understanding that others' actions reflect their own inner state, not your worth. When someone treats you with disrespect, They reveal their own poverty of spirit, not any deficiency in you. When circumstances frustrate your plans, they simply remind you that you are not the author of every chapter in life's unfolding story. This understanding brings tremendous freedom, for it releases you from the exhausting burden of trying to control what lies beyond your influence. Night, as consciousness gradually fades into the restorative embrace of sleep, let this truth settle deep within your mind. Tranquility is your birthright, your natural inheritance as a rational being. Anger is the aberration, the temporary clouding of your essential clarity. You were born to be at peace, to move through the world with grace and wisdom, undisturbed by the turbulence that surrounds but cannot penetrate your inner sanctuary. In the morning, you will awaken not as one who must struggle to remain calm, but as one for whom tranquility flows as naturally as breathing. The provocations that once stirred your anger will meet a different person, one who has been transformed by the gentle alchemy of Stoic wisdom, working silently through the night. Lesson 8. The inner citadel of virtue. In the depths of your being, there stands a fortress that no external force can breach. Seneca knew this sacred place well, writing by the gentle flicker of his lamp in ancient Rome, while the world around him churned with political storms and personal trials. He called it the citadel of the soul, that innermost sanctuary where virtue dwells, untouched by fortune's fickleness or the opinions of others. As you rest now in these quiet hours, feel yourself being drawn toward this impregnable refuge that has always existed within you. The walls of this inner citadel are built not of stone or mortar, but of wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline. Over and over again, and over and over again, these are the 4 cardinal virtues that the Stoics cherished above all earthly treasures, and they form the foundation of your truest self. Unlike material possessions that can be stolen, or reputation that can be tarnished, or even health that can fail, virtue remains forever yours. It is the one thing that cannot be taken from you by any circumstance, any person, or any twist of fate. Seneca learned this truth through his own trials. Exiled to a barren island, facing the wrath of emperors, watching his wealth disappear and his political influence crumble, he discovered that his inner citadel remained unshaken. In his letters, he shares this profound realization with the tenderness of a father speaking to a beloved child. The external world may rage like a storm around you, but within your citadel, perfect calm prevails. As you breathe, slowly and deeply, imagine yourself approaching the gates of this inner fortress. They open not with force, but with gentle recognition. For you are both the guardian and the protected, the seeker and the sanctuary. Step inside and feel the immediate shift in atmosphere. Here, the noise of the world grows distant and muted. The urgent demands of daily life lose their sharp edges. The fears that seemed so pressing just moments ago reveal themselves as shadows cast by things that have no power over your essential being. Within these walls, you discover that virtue is not a burden to be carried, but a light that illuminates everything around it. Wisdom whispers that most of what troubles you exists only in your interpretations, not in reality itself. Courage reminds you that you have faced difficulties before and emerged stronger. Justice shows you the interconnectedness of all beings and fills you with compassion, even for those who seem to oppose you. Self-discipline reveals itself not as harsh restriction, but as the gentle guidance that keeps you aligned with your highest nature. It does not depend on others' approval to remain strong, nor does it weaken when criticized. It needs no constant feeding with achievements or acquisitions. Instead, it grows more magnificent each time you choose virtue over convenience, wisdom over cleverness, genuine courage over mere bravado. authentic justice over self-serving calculation. Seneca reminds us that most people spend their lives trying to fortify their external circumstances, building walls of wealth, status, and control around themselves. Yet these defenses are ultimately fragile, subject to the countless variables beyond our influence. The wise person understands that true security comes from within, from the cultivation of character that remains constant regardless of changing conditions. Night, as sleep gently embraces you, rest in the knowledge that your inner citadel stands ready to shelter you through any storm. Tomorrow's challenges, whatever they may be, cannot penetrate these walls unless you yourself open the gates. And even if you do momentarily lose your way, the path back to this sanctuary is always available, always clear to those who seek it with sincere hearts. Let virtue be your companion in dreams, your guide in waking hours, and your inheritance that no force in heaven or earth can diminish. Within your inner citadel, you are forever safe, forever free, forever home. Lesson 9. Wealth and poverty of the soul. In the deep quiet of this hour, let us speak of riches that cannot be counted by any earthly measure, and poverty that has nothing to do with the coins in your purse. Seneca knew, as all wise souls come to know, that the truest wealth lives not in vaults of gold, but in the chambers of a well-ordered heart. As your breathing slows and your mind prepares for rest, allow this ancient understanding to settle into the very marrow of your being. The soul that hungers for external treasures finds itself perpetually famished, always reaching for one more possession, one more validation, one more fleeting pleasure to fill the emptiness within. Such a soul, though it may command vast fortunes, remains impoverished in the only currency that truly matters. It scurries through life like a beggar, despite its material abundance, because it has never learned to recognize the inexhaustible riches it already possesses. But you, dear friend, as you lie here in the sanctuary of night, can begin to discover a different kind of wealth altogether. This is the wealth of a clear conscience, which no thief can steal and no misfortune can diminish. It is the treasure of wisdom earned through careful observation of life's patterns, the gold of patience refined through trials, the precious stones of compassion gathered through understanding others' struggles. These riches multiply when shared, appreciate with time, and provide dividends of peace that compound through every season of your life. Consider how differently the wealthy soul and the poor soul meet the dawn. The soul rich in virtue wakes grateful for another day to practice wisdom, to extend kindness, to grow in understanding. Each morning brings fresh opportunities to invest in what cannot perish. The impoverished soul, regardless of its bank balance, wakes anxious about what it might lose, resentful of what others possess, calculating always how to acquire more of what can never truly satisfy. The wealthy soul finds abundance in a simple meal shared with a friend, in the play of morning light across a bare wall, in the satisfaction of a duty fulfilled with integrity. It understands that contentment is not the reward of having everything, but the art of appreciating what is present. This soul has learned the secret that escaped so many in Seneca's time and continues to elude multitudes in ours, that happiness cannot be purchased, but must be cultivated from within. True poverty, then, is not the lack of external goods, but the absence of inner resources. It is the inability to find joy in simple pleasures, the restless need for others' approval, the fear that makes every decision a calculation of personal gain rather than moral good. The poor soul hoards its affections, guards its kindness as if it might run out, and measures every relationship by what it might receive rather than what it might give. As sleep draws nearer, feel yourself growing rich in the only wealth that endures. Each breath you take consciously is a deposit in the bank of mindfulness. Each worry you release is freedom gained. Each moment you rest in acceptance rather than striving is interest earned on the investment of wisdom. Your soul accumulates these treasures naturally when you stop chasing shadows and start recognizing the light that has always been within you. The wealthy soul does not fear loss because it knows that its true riches cannot be touched by any external circumstance. Stripped of possessions, it remains rich in courage. Abandoned by false friends, it remains wealthy in self-respect. Facing uncertainty, it draws upon reserves of trust in life's fundamental goodness. This is the inheritance Seneca offers you through his letters, the legacy of those who have learned to distinguish between having and being. Night, as consciousness gradually fades into dreams, know that you are developing the only wealth worth accumulating. Your soul is growing rich in precisely those qualities that will serve you in every season of life, in every challenge you may face, in every quiet moment when you must stand alone with who you have become. Rest now in the confidence of true abundance, the peace of those who need nothing external to confirm their worth, the serenity of souls who have discovered riches that time cannot erode. Lesson 10. Facing hardship with strength. In the quiet sanctuary of this moment, let Seneca's gentle voice reach across the centuries to speak to your heart about the inevitable storms that visit every human life. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. He reminds us, and in these words lies the profound truth that hardship is not your enemy, but your teacher, dressed in uncomfortable clothing. Picture yourself as a mighty oak tree, your roots extending deep into the earth of your being. When fierce winds arise, they do not break you, they make you stronger. Each gust that tests your branches only drives your roots deeper, anchoring you more firmly in the bedrock of your inner strength. This is how Seneca understood adversity, not as punishment, but as the universe's way of revealing the unshakable foundation within you. Consider how a blade of steel is forged. It must pass through fire, must be hammered and shaped, must endure the heat that seems to threaten its very existence. Yet without this process, it remains merely crude ore, holding no edge, serving no noble purpose. Your hardships are the forge in which your character is refined. Each difficulty, a hammer stroke that shapes you into something more resilient, more compassionate, more wise. Seneca knew this intimately, for his own life was marked by exile, loss, and the precarious nature of political favor. Yet, from these trials, he distilled wisdom that has nourished souls for 2 millennia. He understood that suffering visited upon the wise person is like rain falling upon fertile ground. It may seem harsh at first, but it ultimately brings forth the most beautiful growth. When you face your own storms, remember that you possess within yourself a citadel that no external force can breach. This inner fortress is built not of stone and mortar, but of acceptance, courage, and the profound understanding that you are more than your circumstances. You are the consciousness that observes those circumstances, the unchanging awareness that remains calm even when the surface of life grows turbulent. Watch your breath become slower now, deeper, as you feel this truth settling into your bones. Hardship cannot diminish your essential worth. Loss cannot steal your capacity for love. Setbacks cannot erase the wisdom you have gained through living. These external events are like weather patterns that move across the vast sky of your being, sometimes stormy, sometimes clear, but never permanent, never able to harm the infinite space in which they appear. Think of hardship as a stern but loving teacher who assigns difficult lessons, not out of cruelty, but out of confidence in your ability to grow. This teacher knows that you possess reserves of strength you have not yet discovered, wells of resilience that can only be found when life asks more of you than you thought you could give. Every challenge overcome becomes a treasure stored in the vault of your experience, available to draw upon whenever future difficulties arise. As you prepare for sleep, carry with you the understanding that your struggles are not evidence of your failure, but proof of your courage. Only the brave attempt anything worth doing. Only those willing to risk disappointment ever taste true joy. Only hearts that remain open despite being wounded can experience the full depth of human connection and compassion. Feel your body relaxing now, releasing the tension that hardship may have created in your muscles and your mind. Let Seneca's ancient wisdom flow through you like a healing river, washing away the dust of difficult days and revealing the polished stone of your enduring spirit beneath. You are stronger than you know, more resilient than you can imagine, and more capable of weathering life's storms than any wind that may blow. In sleep, your subconscious mind absorbs this truth. Hardship is the sculptor that reveals the masterpiece hidden within the marble of your soul. Rest now in this knowing and awaken tomorrow, not despite your challenges, but because of how they have forged you into someone magnificent. Lesson 11. The art of self-mastery. In the deepening quiet of night, as your breathing settles into its natural rhythm, imagine Seneca's gentle voice reaching across the centuries, with perhaps his most precious gift, the understanding that you already possess everything needed to master yourself. This mastery is not the harsh dominion of a tyrant over subjects, but the loving guidance of a wise gardener tending the soul's growth with patience and care. Self-mastery begins not with forcing yourself into rigid patterns, but with the tender recognition of your own nature. Like a skilled musician who must first know the instrument before creating beautiful melodies, you must become intimately acquainted with the landscape of your inner world. Your thoughts arise like morning mist, your emotions flow like seasonal rivers, your desires dance like flames in the hearth. The art lies not in extinguishing these natural movements, but in learning to work with them, as a craftsman works with the grain of fine wood. Feel your body sinking deeper into rest as you consider how self-mastery is really self-friendship. The harsh inner critic that drives you with whips and chains creates only rebellion and exhaustion, but the wise inner guide who speaks with firm kindness creates lasting transformation. When you catch yourself in old patterns, you need not declare war upon yourself. Instead, observe with the gentle curiosity of a parent watching a child learn to walk, ready to offer steady support when needed. True mastery reveals itself in the small moments that nobody else witnesses. It is the pause you take before speaking in anger, allowing wisdom to cool the heated words. It is the choice to remain present when boredom tempts you to flee into distraction. It is the decision to rest when your body needs restoration, rather than pushing forward out of restless habit. These quiet victories, accumulating like snowflakes, create the avalanche of transformation. The practiced soul learns to distinguish between what lies within its power and what does not. Like a sailor who reads wind and current, but focuses on adjusting the sails. You cannot control the storms that arise in your life, but you can master your response to them. This distinction becomes a source of profound relief, for you no longer exhaust yourself trying to move mountains with bare hands. Instead, you discover the immense power available in tending your own garden of consciousness. Self-mastery teaches you to be selective with your attention, guarding it as carefully as a treasurer guards gold. Your mind, left unguided, will scatter itself among 1,000 trivial concerns, but under loving discipline, it learns to rest where it can be most useful. Like a clear mountain lake that reflects the sky perfectly because its surface remains undisturbed, your consciousness becomes a mirror for wisdom when you cease stirring it with unnecessary agitation. The deepest level of mastery involves learning to work with your own resistance rather than against it. When you notice yourself avoiding a necessary task or clinging to a harmful habit, approach this resistance with curiosity rather than force. What is this part of you trying to protect? What does it need to feel safe enough to change? Often you will discover that your resistance carries important information, and honoring this wisdom makes transformation feel natural rather than violent. As sleep draws you into its embrace, remember that each night offers you a perfect laboratory for practicing self-mastery. In dreams, your unconscious mind processes and integrates the day's experiences, but your conscious intention before sleep sets the direction for this inner work. You can choose to release the day's frustrations rather than carrying them into tomorrow. You can plant seeds of positive intention that will grow in the fertile darkness of rest. The mastery Seneca speaks of is not a destination you reach once and possess forever, but a daily practice of returning to your center, like a tree that bends with storms but always grows back toward the light. Each morning, you begin again, not as failure returning to an impossible task, but as a devoted student, showing up for another day of practice in the art of being fully yourself. Lesson 12. Letting go of fear. In the gentle hours when daylight surrenders to dusk, when the world grows quiet and your mind begins its journey toward rest, let us walk together into the heart of what troubles the human soul most deeply. Fear, that ancient companion of mortals, that shadow which follows us from birth to grave, need not be your master tonight. Seneca understood this truth as he wrote by flickering candlelight in his Roman villa, his words reaching across centuries to find you here, in this moment, ready to release what no longer serves your peace. Fear whispers lies in the language of possibility, painting tomorrow's canvas with colors of disaster, filling your present moment with anxieties about futures that exist only in imagination. But consider this profound truth that the Stoic philosophers carried like a sacred flame. Most of what we fear never comes to pass, and even when difficulty arrives, we discover within ourselves strengths we never knew we possessed. The mind that conjures fearful scenarios with such vivid detail is the same mind capable of conjuring courage, resilience, and unshakable calm. Night, as you prepare for rest, imagine yourself standing before a great bonfire of worry. One by one, you place your fears into those cleansing flames. The fear of failure burns away, revealing beneath it your natural capacity for learning and growth. The fear of loss dissolves, showing you the eternal nature of love and memory. The fear of change crumbles to ash, exposing the truth that adaptation is your birthright as a human being. Watch how these fears, which seem so solid and permanent in daylight, become mere smoke in the presence of philosophical understanding. Seneca knew that courage is not the absence of fear, but rather the recognition that some things matter more than our comfort, that virtue and love and truth are worth whatever temporary discomfort we might encounter in their pursuit. The gladiator in the arena who fought with honor understood this principle. The mother who sacrificed for her children lived this wisdom. The friend who spoke truth when lies would have been easier embodied this courage. You carry within you this same noble capacity to act rightly despite the presence of fear. Consider how fear often masquerades as protection, claiming to keep you safe while actually keeping you small. It whispers that you should not risk, should not love deeply, should not venture beyond familiar territories. But this is not protection. This is imprisonment. True safety comes not from avoiding life's uncertainties, but from developing the inner resources to meet whatever comes with grace and wisdom. When you trust in your ability to handle difficulty, External circumstances lose their power to terrorize your imagination. The wise person learns to distinguish between reasonable caution and paralyzing fear. Caution looks both ways before crossing the street. Fear refuses to leave the house. Caution saves money for uncertain times. Fear hoards resources and never experiences generosity's joy. Caution chooses friends carefully. Fear avoids human connection altogether. Night, let your subconscious mind absorb this crucial distinction, integrating wisdom that serves without wisdom that imprisons. As sleep approaches, feel yourself becoming lighter with each exhale, releasing not only the day's accumulated tensions, but the deeper fears that have traveled with you for months or years. Some of these fears were inherited from parents who loved you but carried their own anxieties. Others were learned through painful experiences that taught you to expect hurt. Still others arose from stories you told yourself about who you are and what you deserve. All of these can be released now, dissolved in the healing waters of philosophical understanding. In your dreams tonight, may you walk fearlessly through landscapes of possibility, your step confident, your heart open, your mind clear. May you encounter challenges that reveal your strength rather than your weakness, opportunities that expand your soul rather than contract it. When morning comes, may you carry with you not the memory of what you feared, but the deep knowing of what you can become when fear no longer holds the reins of your life. Lesson 13. The power of philosophy in daily life. In the soft embrace of evening shadows, as the world settles into its gentle rhythm of rest, consider how philosophy is not merely an abstract pursuit of the mind, but the very breath of a life well lived. Seneca whispers across the centuries that philosophy is not confined to marble halls or dusty scrolls, but walks with you through every ordinary moment, transforming the mundane into the sacred through the alchemy of understanding. Philosophy, dear friend, is the art of living itself. It is the steady hand that guides you when the path grows uncertain, the quiet voice that reminds you of your strength when weakness threatens to overwhelm. In the marketplace, in conversation with neighbors, in the simple act of breaking bread, philosophy becomes your constant companion, offering perspective where confusion once reigned, and serenity where anxiety once festered. The true philosopher does not retreat from life, but engages with it more fully, armed with principles that have been tested in the forge of experience. Every interaction becomes an opportunity to practice patience. Every challenge, a chance to demonstrate courage. Every moment of joy, an occasion to experience gratitude without attachment. Philosophy transforms you from a passive recipient of circumstance into an active participant in your own flourishing. Consider how the morning sun rises without fanfare, yet illuminates everything it touches. So too does philosophical wisdom work within you, quietly but persistently, changing how you perceive and respond to life's endless variations. The merchant who overcharges you becomes a teacher of indifference to material loss. The friend who disappoints you offers a lesson in the acceptance of human frailty. The unexpected illness provides an opportunity to practice resilience and to contemplate what truly matters. This is not cold intellectualism, but warm, practical wisdom that makes you more human, not less. It helps you work more purposefully because you recognize the difference between meaningful action and mere busyness. It allows you to rest more completely because you have learned to release what lies beyond your control. The Stoic philosopher carries within himself a portable sanctuary, a place of refuge that no external circumstance can touch. This inner citadel is built not of stone, but of understanding, reinforced daily through the practice of examining life through reason's gentle light. When storms rage in the outer world, this sanctuary remains calm and welcoming, offering shelter not just to yourself, but to others who seek peace in your presence. Philosophy in daily life means treating each encounter as sacred, each decision as an opportunity to align with virtue, each setback as an invitation to demonstrate the strength of your character. It means approaching your work with the same care whether you tend gardens or govern cities, because the quality of your attention, not the nature of your task, determines the nobility of your effort. In conversation, philosophy makes you a better listener, more interested in understanding than in being understood. In solitude, it makes you a worthy companion to yourself, comfortable with silence and reflection. In times of celebration, it helps you enjoy fully while remaining unattached to the continuation of pleasure. In times of sorrow, it provides the deep roots that prevent you from being swept away by grief's powerful current. The philosophical life is not one of grim duty, but of profound freedom. When you understand what truly matters and what does not, when you can distinguish between your opinions and reality, when you can act from principle rather than impulse, you discover a liberation that no external force can grant or take away. This freedom expresses itself in the smallest gestures and the grandest choices alike. As sleep begins to claim your consciousness, let philosophy settle into your bones, like warmth from a well-tended fire. Tomorrow will bring its own mixture of joy and challenge, routine and surprise. Meet it all with the philosopher's greatest gift, the ability to remain yourself regardless of what the world presents, grounded in wisdom that transforms every ordinary day into an extraordinary opportunity for growth and service. Lesson 14: Fortune and its illusions. In the deep hours when the world grows still and your mind begins its gentle descent towards sleep, let us speak of Fortune and the many masks she wears. Seneca knew her well, this fickle goddess who promises much and delivers only what was always meant to be yours. She comes dressed as opportunity one day, draped in the robes of disaster the next. Yet beneath her costumes lies a profound truth that only the wise can see clearly. Fortune is neither friend nor enemy, but rather a neutral force that moves through your life like wind through trees. The branches may bend and sway, leaves may fall, yet the roots remain steadfast in the earth. Your true self, your essential nature, your capacity for virtue and wisdom, these cannot be touched by Fortune's wandering hand. She may take your possessions, but never your principles. She may alter your circumstances, but never your character, unless you willingly surrender it to her whims. Consider how Fortune's gifts often prove to be burdens in disguise, while her apparent cruelties reveal themselves as hidden blessings. The wealth that arrives unexpectedly may burden you with worry about its loss. The promotion that elevates your status may distance you from simple pleasures. The comfort that seems so desirable may soften your spirit until you forget your own strength. Fortune's generosity can be more dangerous than her harshness, for it lulls the soul into dependence upon external things. Yet, when Fortune appears to frown upon you, when losses mount and difficulties multiply, she offers you the greatest gift of all, the opportunity to discover who you truly are, when everything else is stripped away. In these moments of apparent adversity, you find that you need far less than you imagined to be content. You discover reserves of courage you never knew existed. You learn that happiness was never dependent upon the things Fortune could give or take, but resided all along in the depths of your own being. The wise person neither celebrates Fortune's gifts with excessive joy, nor mourns her withdrawals with bitter sorrow. Instead, they maintain the steady awareness that all external things are temporary visitors in the house of life. They may stay for a season or depart within an hour, but they are never permanent residents. Your peace cannot depend upon such unreliable guests. As you prepare for sleep tonight, release your grip on Fortune's wheel. Stop trying to predict her next move or control her next gift. She will do what she will do, following patterns too vast and complex for any single mind to comprehend. Your task is not to master fortune, but to master yourself in relationship to her constant changes. This is true freedom, not the ability to control what happens to you, but the capacity to remain serene regardless of what happens to you. Let your breathing deepen as you contemplate this liberating truth. Fortune may toss the waves upon life's ocean, but you are learning to sail with skill and grace through calm waters and storms alike. Each experience, whether pleasant or challenging, becomes another lesson in the art of living wisely. Each day, whether it brings fortune's smile or frown, offers fresh opportunities to practice virtue, cultivate wisdom, and deepen your understanding of what truly matters. In your dreams tonight, may you see beyond fortune's illusions to the stable ground of your own inner strength. May you wake tomorrow with renewed appreciation for the treasures that can never be taken from you. Your capacity to think clearly, love deeply, act with integrity, and find joy in simple moments. These are the gifts that make you wealthy beyond fortune's power to measure, and peaceful beyond her power to disturb. Rest now in the knowledge that you are neither fortune's slave nor her master, but something far more dignified, a conscious being who has learned to dance gracefully with change itself. Lesson 15. Living in accord with nature. In the deepest hours of night, when the world has grown still and your breathing begins to slow, there is a profound truth that Seneca whispers to your resting spirit. You are not separate from the great symphony of existence, but rather one of its most beautiful notes. To live in accord with nature is not merely to walk among trees or breathe fresh air, though these bring their own medicine to the soul. It is to recognize that you are woven into the very fabric of the cosmos, subject to its rhythms, blessed by its order, and called to fulfill your part in its eternal design. Consider how naturally a river flows toward the sea, never fighting the pull of gravity, never questioning its course. It carves canyons, not through violence, but through patient persistence, shaping the landscape while remaining true to its essential nature. You too have an essential nature, a deep current within you that knows the way forward when your mind grows clouded with confusion. This inner compass points always toward virtue, toward truth, toward the fulfillment of your highest potential as a human being. The ancient philosophers understood that we are rational creatures by nature, gifted with the capacity to think, to choose, to act with wisdom and compassion. When you align your daily choices with this fundamental truth, life becomes less of a struggle and more of a dance. You begin to see that the obstacles in your path are not punishments from an indifferent universe, but opportunities to strengthen the very muscles of character that make you most fully human. Night, as sleep begins to claim your weary body, let yourself sink into the recognition that you belong here, in this moment, in this life, exactly as you are. The same force that guides the planets in their orbits and coaxes flowers from frozen ground is working within you, urging you toward growth, toward healing, toward the expression of your deepest gifts. You need not force this process, any more than you need to force your heart to beat or your lungs to draw breath. Seneca knew that our greatest suffering comes not from external circumstances, but from our resistance to the natural flow of life. When we insist that things should be different than they are, when we rage against the inevitable changes that time brings, when we try to control outcomes beyond our influence, we place ourselves at war with reality itself. But when you learn to bend like a reed in the wind, to accept what cannot be changed, while working skillfully with what can be transformed, you discover a peace that runs deeper than any temporary pleasure or pain. Living in accord with nature means honoring the seasons of your own existence. There are times for action and times for rest, times for speaking and times for silence, times for holding on and times for letting go. Just as the earth knows when to bloom and when to lie fallow, your soul carries an ancient wisdom about what is needed in each moment of your journey. This wisdom, even when it contradicts the urgent demands of others or the restless chatter of your own fears. The Stoics taught that we are all citizens of a cosmic city, connected to every other being by invisible threads of mutual dependence and shared fate. Affects all. What heals one has the power to heal the whole. When you live in harmony with your own nature, you simultaneously contribute to the harmony of the larger world. Your personal peace ripples outward like stones thrown into still water, touching lives you may never know in ways you cannot imagine. As you surrender now to sleep's gentle embrace, feel yourself settling into this cosmic order like a bird returning to its nest at dusk. You are exactly where you need to be, learning exactly what you need to learn, becoming exactly who you were meant to become. The universe conspires in your favor, not by granting your every wish, but by providing precisely the experiences necessary for your soul's evolution. Let your dreams tonight be filled with the quiet confidence that comes from living in accord with your truest nature. Wake tomorrow, ready to meet whatever arises, with the serene strength of one who knows their place in the grand design. Lesson 16. Joy in the present moment. In the sacred stillness of this evening hour, dear friend, let us gather around the ancient flame of wisdom that burns brightest when we cease our endless searching and simply rest in what is here, what is now. Seneca whispers to us across the centuries with words that carry the weight of lived truth. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Feel how these words settle into your being, like warm honey, sweetening every corner of your awareness with the recognition that this moment, this very breath you draw, contains all the joy you have been seeking in distant tomorrows. How often your mind travels, doesn't it? Like a restless bird that cannot find its perch, flitting between memories of yesterday and dreams of what might come. Yet here, in the gentle embrace of night's arrival, Seneca's voice calls you home to yourself, to the only place where joy can truly be found. The present moment is not a way station between a past you cannot change and a future you cannot control. It is the destination itself, the treasure chamber where all riches are stored, waiting patiently for your return. Consider how the wise philosopher understood this truth through his own journey from exile to palace, from wealth to poverty and back again. In every circumstance, joy remained available to him, not because his external conditions were perfect, but because he learned the sacred art of presence. The flowers that bloom beside your window bloom only now. The warmth of the blanket that covers you exists only in this moment. The love in your heart beats with the rhythm of now. And when you align yourself with this eternal present, you discover that joy is not something you must earn or achieve. It is something you simply recognize as having been there all along. The anxious mind tells you that happiness dwells in the completion of tomorrow's tasks, in the resolution of next week's worries, in the fulfillment of next year's dreams. But Seneca, with the gentle authority of one who has tested these waters, assures you this is merely illusion. Nothing is ours. He reminds us, except time. And time exists only as a series of present moments, each one a doorway into joy, if you have the courage to step through it, without dragging behind you the heavy luggage of regret or the cumbersome expectations of what should be different. Night, as your body prepares for rest, notice how naturally it knows to be present. Your heart beats now, not yesterday or tomorrow. Your breath flows now, carrying life into every cell with perfect timing. Your mind, too, can learn this wisdom of the body, settling into the rhythm of what is, rather than the chaos of what if. When you stop demanding that this moment be different from what it is, you discover it contains everything you need for contentment. Joy in the present moment is not a naive denial of life's challenges, but rather the mature recognition that meeting those challenges from a place of inner stability and presence makes you infinitely more capable than meeting them from anxiety about outcomes you cannot control. Seneca knew hardship intimately, yet he also knew that hardship faced with presence becomes teacher rather than tormentor, opportunity rather than obstacle. As sleep approaches, imagine yourself as a tree rooted deeply in the soil of now. Your branches may reach toward tomorrow's sun, your leaves may carry the memory of yesterday's rain, but your strength, your life force, your joy, all of these flow from your connection to this present earth beneath you. In this moment, you lack nothing essential. In this moment, peace is not a goal to be achieved, but a reality to be recognized. In this moment, joy is not a visitor from some distant land, but your most intimate companion, as close as your own breathing. Let Seneca's wisdom sink into your dreams tonight, where the boundaries between past and future dissolve completely, leaving only the eternal now, where true happiness has always been waiting for your return. Rest now in the joy of simply being, here, alive, aware, and infinitely blessed by the gift of this one precious moment. Lesson 17. The Wise Man and the World. In the deepest hours of night, when the world grows still and your breathing slows to match the ancient rhythms of peace, consider the figure of the wise person, moving through this world, like moonlight across water, present, yet untouched, illuminating, yet serene. Seneca writes to you across the centuries about this highest aspiration, not as an impossible dream, but as the natural flowering of all your philosophical practice, the quiet mastery that comes when inner wisdom meets outer circumstance with perfect grace. The wise person, dear friend, does not flee from the world, but inhabits it differently, like one who walks through a storm without being swept away by its fury. You too can learn this art of engagement without entanglement, participating fully in life while maintaining the sovereign calm that comes from knowing what truly matters. This is not coldness or withdrawal, but the warmest kind of presence, freed from the desperate grasping that makes most human interaction a form of mutual drowning. Picture yourself moving through tomorrow's encounters with this quality of centered awareness, responding to each situation from the deep well of your inner resources, rather than reacting from the shallow pools of immediate emotion. The wise person sees clearly because they stand on higher ground, not elevated by pride, but lifted by understanding, viewing the human drama with both compassion and perspective. You can cultivate this same clarity, allowing each challenge to become an opportunity for wisdom rather than a test of your peace. The world will always present you with difficulties, for this is its nature and its gift. Every obstacle becomes a teacher when met with the right spirit. Every conflict, an invitation to practice virtue. Every loss, a reminder of what cannot be taken from you. The wise person welcomes these teachings, not as punishment, but as the very curriculum through which the soul learns to recognize its own unshakable essence. Let this understanding settle into your bones as sleep approaches, transforming your relationship with difficulty itself. Consider how the wise person relates to praise and blame, those twin impostors that visit every human life. When honored, they remain humble, knowing that external recognition cannot add to or subtract from their intrinsic worth. When criticized, they listen for truth without being wounded by harshness, understanding that others' opinions are reflections of their own inner states rather than verdicts on your essential being. This is the freedom that awaits you as wisdom ripens, the liberation from the exhausting need to manage how others perceive you. The wise person acts in the world, but is not driven by worldly ambitions, serves others, but does not lose themselves in service, loves deeply, but without the desperate attachment that turns love into suffering. They have learned the secret of being fully human while remembering their divine nature, of caring immensely while holding lightly. This paradox becomes natural when you stop trying to solve it with your mind and allow your heart to teach you its ancient wisdom. As your consciousness prepares for sleep's healing journey, let yourself absorb the truth that wisdom is not a distant goal, but your deepest nature, waiting to be uncovered like a spring beneath the earth's surface. Every act of patience, every moment of genuine kindness, every choice to respond rather than react, brings you closer to this natural state of being. The wise person is not perfect but present, not invulnerable but unafraid, not separate from humanity but free within it. Tomorrow you will wake with opportunities to practice this embodied wisdom, to be the calm presence in whatever storms may come, to offer the gift of your clarity to a world hungry for genuine peace. Rest now in the knowledge that wisdom lives within you always, requiring only your gentle attention to flourish, transforming both your inner landscape and your engagement with all of life through its quiet, irresistible power. Lesson 18. Eternal rest, serenity of the soul. In these final moments, before you surrender to sleep, let us speak of the deepest rest of all, that eternal serenity that awaits those who are lived with wisdom, loved with courage, and faced each day with the quiet strength of the philosopher. This is not the rest of exhaustion, but the profound peace of completion, the gentle settling of a soul that has found its true home. Seneca wrote often of this ultimate tranquility, not as something to fear or postpone, but as the natural culmination of a life well lived. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. He reminds us across the centuries, his voice carrying the weight of one who has gazed deeply into the nature of existence itself. Night, as you prepare to cross the threshold into sleep, you practice this same surrender, this same trust in the natural order that governs all things. Consider how each night you have already touched this eternal rest. In sleep, you release your grip on the day's concerns. You let go of your plans and worries. Resurrender your very identity to a darkness and emerge refreshed. This nightly death and rebirth has been preparing you, gently and gradually, for that final release when the time comes. There is nothing to fear in what you have practiced 10,000 times. The serenity of the soul comes not from avoiding life's challenges, but from meeting them with the accumulated wisdom of all your days and nights. Each letter from Seneca that has accompanied you into sleep has been building within you a fortress of peace, stone by stone, thought by thought, until now you possess something unshakable, a core of calm that no external storm can disturb. This is the philosopher's greatest gift, not the ability to escape suffering, but the capacity to find meaning within it, to discover that every experience, pleasant or painful, has been shaping you into someone capable of perfect peace. The worries that once kept you awake now seem like distant thunder, unable to penetrate the sanctuary you have built within your own heart. As you lie here now, breathing slowly and deeply. Feel how your body has learned to trust this nightly release. Your muscles soften, your thoughts quiet, your heart settles into its steady rhythm. This is the same trust that will carry you through every transition life may bring. You have been practicing courage in the darkness, wisdom in the silence, love in the letting go. The eternal rest that Seneca speaks of is not some far-off destination, but a quality of being you can touch right now. It lives in the space between thoughts, in the pause between heartbeats, in the gentle moment when consciousness dissolves into the vast ocean of sleep. Every night, you have been learning to be comfortable with mystery, at home in the unknown, peaceful with impermanence. Your dreams tonight may carry you to distant places, or you may sink into the dreamless depths where the soul finds its deepest restoration. Either way, you are held by the same universal order that guided the stars when Seneca wrote his letters, that will continue guiding them long after we have all returned to dust. This perspective brings not sadness, but profound relief. You are part of something infinitely larger and more enduring than your temporary worries. Let your breathing become a prayer of gratitude for all the nights you have been given, all the mornings you have witnessed, all the quiet hours when wisdom could take root in the fertile darkness of your resting mind. The philosophers of old understood that true learning happens not only in the bright hours of study, but in the dark hours of surrender, when the conscious mind steps aside and deeper truths can emerge. As sleep draws near, know that you carry with you now all the strength you need for whatever tomorrow may bring. Seneca's voice has become your own. It's Seneca's voice. His courage has strengthened your own heart. His peace has found a permanent home in your soul. In this eternal rest, this serenity that passes understanding,